Question number 41 on the reading portion of College Board's Test 4. The main purpose of both passages. Purpose. Why did the author bother writing it? Remember, purpose of a history passage is to be persuasive. So we have to be persuasive in our purpose. The authors are trying to persuade us to believe something. So this can't be any more cut and dry, I think. The main purpose of both passages is to suggest a way to resolve a particular political struggle. Is there a particular political struggle that we talk about? Don't let the College Board put words in our mouth. Is there a political struggle they're discussing? Are they figuring out how to resolve the revolution in France? The French Revolution? They're not resolving it. They're actually arguing the foundations of governance. Who deserves and who has the right to govern? Not how do we fix this political problem. So I'm not liking on how A is, again, putting words in our mouth. The main purpose of both passages is to discuss the relation between people and their government. Maybe. I like how it's broad. I like how it's vague. I like how it's uncomfortable because it doesn't say much of anything and yet it says everything all at once. The main purpose of both passages is to evaluate the consequences of rapid political change. A might talk about that. A in the beginning, passage 1 talks about that. Passage 1 talks about the consequences of what happens when we change things quickly, when we make rash decisions, and it causes a bunch of problems and destroys government. Does passage 2 ever broach the subject of the consequences of rapid or quick political change? No. He simply says, passage 2 simply says, it is the living to govern and not the dead and unborn. So I'm not liking C because passage 1 only talks about that, passage 2 does not. And what about D? The main purpose of both passages is to describe the duties that governments have to their citizens. This was earlier in one of the questions. I was actually wondering this, on how this piece doesn't ever tell us the duties or relationships, the duties of the government has to its citizens. Notice how directional this is. The duties that the government has to the citizens. And it's not saying a government should do A, B, C, D. It should be like protect the people, uphold rule of law, due process. It doesn't have any of that stuff. They never talk about that once, what the role of government is in a citizen's life. They just talk about who deserves to govern, which is a fundamentally different question. I'm not liking D, the way that they want us to believe what happened in the piece when it wasn't true. B, discuss the relation between people and their government. I like how broad that is. The main purpose is to talk about the relationship between the people and their government. How do people, how should they react to their government? How should they relate to the government? Passage 1 is talking about it's a very strong social contract. It's not something that can be, that's petty. It's something that's very serious. Passage 2 talks about the relationship of people and their government by saying the people who are living are the only people that have any relationship to the government. So I really like how the purpose of both passages is to persuade us, to discuss, to rhetorically analyze the relationship between people and their government and who are the people and what are their relationship to the government. The answer number 41 is going to be B.